everybody. This is Angela from Texas, and you're listening to 5 Picks and a Chick featuring El Gato. This is a show that gives you 5 NFL picks for people who love football and friendly wagering. Today we are joined by our special guest, Henry. Thanks for being with us, Henry.
Hey, thanks for having me on. Let's talk some playoff football.
All right, sounds good. I'm excited. I can't believe we're talking Wildcard weekend. So,
got here quick, didn't it?
Yeah, real quick. So, anyway, well, last week I went 1-4, and El Gato went 2-3. My record is 38 wins, 40 losses, 1 push, and El Gato's is 39 wins, 39 losses, and 1 push. Tough weekend last weekend. You got any comments on that, El Gato?
Yeah, it was overall a tough weekend. There were some teams that, rested some players that already sealed, playoff berth. There were some other teams that were fighting for a playoff berth that, didn't come through on the cover. Overall, at the end of the season, a lot of teams are just that are not, in it, or seem like they were just going through the motions. I've seen this year after year. I just want to get the game over with, get out of there without any significant injuries, and then move on. So yeah, this last week especially, they're tough games to select, but you have to do the best, and we did that, and the games turned out the way they did. So now we just move on to this first week of the Wildcard playoffs.
Yep. I'm excited for this weekend. It's crazy when we're making these picks. You have your analysis and it looks good on paper, and then the games get played, and it's like, what the heck happened?
That's it. On paper,
yeah.
They look great. You look at matchups. You look at how the teams have performed. Last 3, 4, 5 weeks, and how they've scored and how they've played defensively, and then. Well, you know what they say, Angela. It's football.
That's football. Yeah, all right. Well, my first pick this week is going to be the Vikings -3 at home against the New York Giants. Again, like I said, the Vikings are at home, so that's going to be to their benefit. The Vikings have the better offense, the more experienced quarterback in Cousins. And even though they were outplayed by the Giants a few weeks ago, they still managed to win the game, as they have done 11 times this year in one-score games. So my pick is going to be the Vikings -3. What are your thoughts on this game, El Gato?
Yeah, I'm going to go with you on this one, Angela. I think that the Vikings at -3 at home, being at home in the playoffs, I think they're going to perform a little bit better, or they should, right, on paper, right? Than they did in Week 16 against the Giants. The Giants, they get back a few players that they didn't have in that game, primarily a starting defensive tackle and a starting cornerback. But, I look at what the Giants have done the last 5 weeks or so, maybe even a little further back. And, they ended the season, if my research was correct, they ended the season at 2-5-1. When I saw that, that's kind of hard to believe. So they limped into these playoffs. I do expect the Giants to try to exploit that Vikings secondary, and Shaquan will be Shaquan. I think he'll get his yards. But the Vikings, at home at -3, I do think it'll be a one-score game, but I do think the Vikings can pull this one out. I'll take Vikings -3.
All right. Any comments on this game, Henry?
Well, it's going to be a clean sweep, because I agree. It's the points that both of you have made. The biggest one El Gato hit on about Giants kind of backdoor their way into the playoffs. I think the Vikings just seem to have the one-score luck wins on their side this year. Biggest factor for me is a home game for the Vikings.
All right, sounds good. My second pick is going to be the Chargers -2 at Jacksonville Jaguars. Both quarterbacks are new to the playoffs, so it'll be interesting to see how they play. Although the Jags put together a great second half of the year to make the playoffs, I feel the Chargers have more weapons on both sides of the ball. This will be a revenge game from earlier in the season when the Jags blew them out. So look for Justin Herbert and the Chargers to even the score and move on to the second round of the playoffs. Any comments on this game, Henry?
Yeah, I'm actually going to be on the other side of this, and that's mainly because we got what I feel is the better defense, the Jags. Jags are the home team getting points. Looks like since week 14, the Jags defense has been one of the better defenses in the league. And then if you narrow it down to the last 3 weeks, they've given up 22 points. It's not been against the stiffest competition the last 3 weeks, but I think at the end of the day, I want to take the home team, the better defense, getting points.
All right, sounds good. Any comments on this game, El Gato?
Yeah, I went back and forth on this one quite a few times, and to Henry's point, Jags do have what seems to be a better defense. During that Titans game, to get into the playoffs, were defending against, a third string quarterback in Hobbs. So you have to take that into account as well. But both teams, I think, are gonna put up some points. The Jags can pass and they can run, and the Chargers can do the same. They both kind of have some weak tendencies on the defensive side. Chargers kind of weak on the game. Jags a little bit weak, covering the tight end and the slot receiver in the secondary. So I'm thinking, first team to 28 or 30 can win this. I do think it'll be a tight game, a one-score game, but I'll go with the better quarterback in my view, in Herbert, in this one, and it's such a tight, 2-point game. I'll go with the Chargers at -2 to cover on the road.
All right, sounds good. All right, Henry, do you have a third pick for us?
I do. I'm going to be on the Buffalo Bills game. There's been a lot of line movement on this game. Current line is Bills -13.5. Line open at Bills -9.5. So if you got it early, you're in a great spot. When Tua was announced out, it's a big movement in the line, and even though 13.5 is a lot of points in the NFL, I'm still going to roll with the Bills. They've been through a lot the last couple weeks, and they got the first game under their belt last week after the Hamlin injury. Games in Buffalo, looks like he's back on the road to recovery. So I think they're ready to make a big playoff push. Dolphins have a third-string quarterback. I don't know how much they're going to be able to score. This is probably going to be somewhere around a 30-10 game, so I'll take the Bills.
All right. Do you have any comments on this game, El Gato?
Yeah, I'm going to go with Henry on this one. The line, like he says, will move quite a bit this week, and the reason might be because Tua is out, of course. Thompson is in, second or third-string quarterback. And then both offensive tackles are going to be out for Miami. And then I've just read their starting running back is going to be out, and 2 of their 3 starting secondary people are going to be out of the game also. So Miami appears to be rolling out a mash unit out there. That doesn't mean that they're not going to have any effort and not play, of course. But I'm with Henry on this one. The Bills, they're going to be rejuvenated knowing that, one of their teammates is now doing well, and now they can focus on football. And I see them winning this one. It's 13.5, maybe 17-point game in the Bills' favor. So I'll go with the Bills at -13.5.
All right. Well, I'm going to go against popular opinion on this game. I'm going with Miami. Tua is out, but I think Miami covers. My angle on this game is Buffalo is clearly the better team and will most likely win the game. But this game has the potential to be closer than what most people are anticipating, mainly because Buffalo has had an emotional 2 weeks and could get off to a slow start, having used a lot of their juice in the last game. So I'm going to go Miami covers in this game.
Yeah, I could see that. I could see them shutting things down if they get way ahead. 21 points, like 24 points. But yeah, I can see your point on this one as well.
All right. Well, do you have a 4th and 5th pick for us, El Gato?
I do. I'm going to go with, I have 2 picks, the Giants and Vikings. That's one game, and the Jaguars and the Chargers on the other game. Instead of going with against the spread on these 2 picks, I'm going to go over and unders. And With the Giants and Vikings, it's going to be an indoor game, so weather's not going to be an issue. It's 48 is the over-under. The Giants combined, both offensively and defensively throughout the whole season, have averaged 42 points combined. The Vikings have averaged, with their opponents, 48 combined in their game. So, that's right under the 48 mark that they have. It's good. I'm thinking it's going to be a playoff game. Teams tend to play a little bit tighter, more conservatively. So in this case here, I'm going to go with the under at 48, hoping for, a 26-20 game, 24-20 game. I think that should take it.
All right. Do you have any thoughts on that pick, Henry?
Yeah, I do. I'm going to go the other way on it. I lean toward the over. I think if the Vikings are going to win, it's going to have to be more of a shootout. I don't think the Vikings win a low-scoring game. If you look at the last 5 or 6 weeks for both these teams, they both do tend to play to the over. So I'm going to take the game over.
Yeah, I like the over on this one as well. I think this will be a close, high-scoring game. Both defenses are ranked among the worst in the NFL. So I will take the over on this pick. What about your fifth pick, Elgato?
Jags and Chargers. This one also, I'm going to go, in this case, the over 47. I think both teams will be able to score on each other. As mentioned before on your pick, Angela, I think the Chargers are weak on the defensive line, which will allow the Jags to exploit that, and they're good at running their run game. And then on the other side, I think the Jags are a little bit weak defensively in the secondary, and I think the Chargers can exploit that piece of the ball game. So, first team to 30, I'm looking for really a high-scoring game on this one, unusually for a playoff game. I think the Jags are going to play really loose in this one. They were left for dead, one quarter of the way of the season, and they pull off, 8 straight or 8 out of 9 to make it into the playoffs. So I think they're going to be the more relaxed team. I think they're going to put up some points, and, the Chargers will need to keep up as well. So I'm looking for the over 47 on this one.
All right. Do you have any comments on this game, Henry?
Yeah, the way I was looking at the game, you got the Jags, like I mentioned earlier, playing great defense. Have played to the under the last 3 weeks. Chargers, I think when you hear the name Chargers, I think you automatically think the over, just because the way their offense, kind of high octane offense. But if you look at the last 6 weeks, and I think Andrew, you mentioned it earlier, that you got 2 quarterbacks that are kind of new to the playoffs. So I'm gonna go on.
All right. Well, I am going to go with the over on this game. Both defenses are ranked in the bottom third. Both offenses are ranked in the top third of the league. So I think this sets the game up to be a high-scoring game. So I will go with the over on this one.
Sounds good.
All right.
I like that, Angela.
Well, thank you, El Gato. I appreciate that. All right. Well, I'm going to open it up to both of y'all. Do either one of you have a bonus bet?
Yeah, I'll jump in here real quick. I'm sure folks are asking, how can you have a playoff podcast and not talk about the Cowboys, right?
Yeah.
That's right. So let's talk.
Let's talk.
Especially with, I would go to Tampa Bay, Tom Brady. Cowboys come off just an awful game last week, so I don't know how you have any confidence after watching that game last week. Tampa Bay's played a little bit better. Haven't really had a great season. Obviously, you got the Tom Brady factor. You got Tom Brady playing at home. The Cowboys turn off a terrible game. I think I would take the points and Tom Brady playing at home.
All right. Do you have any comments on this game, El Gato?
It's going to be I think it's going to be a tight game. The Cowboys did play miserable last week. It was just hard to watch that one. Tampa Bay, on the other hand, they've been playing well the last 3 or 4 weeks. How they can, outscore the Cowboys is another thing. Once the Cowboys but once they get focused, I feel can maybe make a good playoff run on the NFC side. On this case, I'm going to go with the Cowboys on the road at -2. I do think they're going to be more focused, play with more intensity, play with more urgency than they have certainly last week. They can't do any worse than that. Hopefully not. So on this case, I'll take the Cowboys even at -2. I even think they win by 10 on this one.
All right. Well, the Cowboys are my team, so I cannot go against them in the playoffs. I'm going to take the Cowboys -2.5. The Bucs got into the playoffs with a losing record. I know everyone is saying Tom Brady has the Cowboys number. Well, I don't think he's going to call it this game. So I go Cowboys -2.5. Prescott gets the job done. Moves
How about
on.
them Cowboys?
Yeah, how about them Cowboys? They move on to the next round. So let's go Cowboys.
Love it.
All right. Any final comments?
Well, here we are. We played the whole season. We've gone through tons of games, gone through stats, research, and here we are. We're down to the last 14 teams, 7 on each side, making the playoffs. I think is my math right on that one? Hopefully it is. And so now it's crunch time. It's win or go home, and you win or you advance. Some teams are, they're not going to care about how much. They just want to win and move on. And looking forward to some intense football. And that's the way the NFL playoffs are. It's every possession is. You can feel the intensity on every play. Every play matters.
That's right. I agree. Any final comments, Henry?
Well, I think we all love the NFL playoffs. We just hate that you can see that the end is near.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I agree. Well, thank you for listening to 5 Picks and a Chick. Be sure to tell your friends about us. Also hit the subscribe and like button on our YouTube channel. And now you can also find us on Spotify and Apple Podcasts. So look for us there as well. Thank you to Henry for joining us today.
Fun.
Make sure to join us next week. As always, thank you to El Gato for being part of 5 Picks and a Chick. 1, 2, 3, break.
Break.